This video is made possible by Practical Defense Systems, the best online security training at the lowest prices. You can start your security career today online at pdsclasses.com. Check them out.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. It's time for the GunGuyTV podcast.
Hi, I'm Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for listening to the GunGuyTV Firearms audio podcast. This is it, and I'm really grateful that you're here. Boy, am I excited or what? Thank you very much for all of your support. Please do support the podcast wherever you can. I would really appreciate it. One way that you can do that if you'd like is you can use our Amazon link when you're shopping Amazon. Yes, I get it. Amazon is not necessarily a firearms-friendly, 2A-friendly company, but we can pick their pocket and support GunGuyTV by George, and so I suggest you do that. What you can do is go to our website at GunGuy.tv or GunGuyTV.com if you want to do that. And when you're there, you may have to scroll down a little bit, but you will find some Amazon banners here and there. Go ahead and click on one of those. That will take you to Amazon through our Amazon affiliate link. And then once you're on Amazon's page, if you bookmark that page and then return to that bookmark every time you want to buy something on Amazon, we will get paid a marketing fee for your doing that. Now, it won't cost you a dime, so that's a way that you can support GunGuyTV without spending any money at all. I should remind you that this podcast is an hour long, the first half an hour of which will be syndicated on your favorite podcast player, so it's free. The second half is on Patreon only. So if you'd like to hear the entire podcast, you do have to support us and join on Patreon. All right, the first half of the podcast, I'm going to talk to Tom from SecureIt Safes. I actually have two of their safes, and I like them a lot. Tom was kind enough to call in, and we had a great conversation. I'm going to do that and play that for you here in just a second. We'll get into that interview. And then in the second half of the podcast, I'm going to say some things that would be, I think, totally unpopular with Maxine Waters, the likes of China Joe Biden, and certainly unpopular with LeBron James, looking at his comments on his Twitter account. But that's okay. I don't care if I'm unpopular with those people. You can listen to my opinion as to what you should do if you're a police officer in today's world, given what's happening to cops lately, and what you should do if you're not a police officer and you are facing the fact that people want to defund your police department where you live, and what you might want to do if you're a citizen of the United States and you're in a place where you can take steps to make sure you police your own neighborhood if the police can't do it. We're going to talk about all of those things in the second part of the podcast on Patreon only. But before we do that, let's get to the interview with Tom from SecureIt Safes. Tom, thank you very much for coming on the program. I'm very, very grateful that you did. I actually own a couple of your safes. I think they're the Agile 52 safes. I've got one in my garage, I got one in my office, and I love them because they're different. And I have a feeling we'll be talking about why they're different here in a couple minutes, but can you tell me, just for the purpose of folks who haven't had one of your safes, can you tell me a little bit about your company, please?
Yes, SecureIt Tactical. We've been in the defense industry for about 22 years. I got my start building armories, and then up through 2008, 9, 10, we've done most of the armories for U.S. Army Special Forces. We've done most of the SEAL teams. We developed a solution, we call it Cradle Grid, that really revolutionized the way military armories function. At this point now, we are the largest supplier to the Department of Defense for weapon storage systems. We also build systems for a lot of foreign U.S.-friendly fighting forces. About 5 years ago, we decided to go into retail products, and it was driven by our own frustration with safes on the market, and a lot of the SEAL teams and some of the Special Forces guys, they're always coming to us saying, hey, will you sell me your product for use in my home? I said, we can, but our big Model 84 cabinets aren't very practical. And we really started looking at it and saying, the consumer market needs proper firearm storage. So we decided to made the decision to, let's jump into this market and design them proper products that store firearms in the same method the military stores their weapons.
So explain to me, you just used an interesting term, proper products. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, in the military, I'll defer to the military because that's what we base everything on. When you're storing weapons in the military, we store all weapons free and clear. Weapons are never touching each other. The optics, there's plenty of room. You can have up to a 5-inch thermal imaging scope or optic on a rifle, and it's going to be stored in the rack. So when it's zeroed, it stays zeroed and it'll work perfectly. You know, we always say when a sniper goes into combat, his rifle has to perform perfectly the first shot because he probably doesn't have a second. And our system pretty much guarantees as the rifle goes in, the rifle comes out. We have straight line access to all guns. What that means is when you open the door, all your guns are in one row, one arm. You can open the door, remove a rifle with an arm, and then close the door and lock it with the other. You're never laying guns on the ground or digging through piles of stuff to get to the one rifle you need. In the military, an armorer has to be able to remove the gun with one arm and then lock the rack with the other arm because some units require them to lock the rack every time they take something in or out. That also gives you, we use the term organizational awareness. When you glance at the cabinet, you open the glance at it, you know everything's there. You know something's missing. The last piece of what we do is the organization of gear as it relates to firearms. And we're seeing that now in the consumer market. In the military, when they transition from the M16 to the M4, they went from a battle rifle or a carbine to a weapon system. The M4 is smaller, it's modular, and they have a lot of options for optics and attachments to those guns. So in the SOCOM world, they have what's called a SOP mod kit. And it's a bunch of different attachments that go on the rail system of that gun. Now, they trick out the gun depending on the mission, but all the rest of that gear has to be stored. We have a modular bin system that allows you to store gear associated with a specific rifle. As that relates to the consumer market, if you're building AR-15s, I've got several. You always end up with lots of parts, pieces, things you're working on. This allows you to store the rifle with all the parts right behind it. If I've got some rifles that shoot very odd calibers. I don't keep a lot of the ammo, but I store the ammo with the gun. I store specific cleaning products to specific calibers with those guns. And also, just to maximize the space within the safe, we call it cubic efficiency. You can store gear in and around all your rifles very efficiently in modular bins, which also are waterproof, in that if you're storing cleaning supplies and something tips over, you're not going to end up with half a bottle of hoppies dumped all over the bottom of your safe. It stays within the bin. It can be easily cleaned.
Tom, is there a reason why military units just don't use the hulking, enormous, I guess what you might call fire retardant safes that you see in the civilian market a lot? Why is that?
Not only do they not use them, they wouldn't be allowed. They're outside of specification for a couple of reasons. First off, and a lot of people don't know this, it's a little bit controversial when I've talked about it, but it is all true. Gun safes are corrosive. The reason the industry sells millions of dollars a year in products designed to stop corrosion in safes, all those hot sticks and all the things they sell, it's because the environment in a gun safe is quite corrosive. Drywall, which is what they use for their fire, they call it fireboard. There's a bunch of names for it. It is drywall. Drywall has formaldehyde in it. It's used as a dispersing agent when they're making the slurry, the mix. That is very corrosive. It also has pyrite in it. Pyrite comes when they mine the gypsum, it's full of pyrite. That's just natural. Pyrite, though, contains ferrooxidants, which are bacteria that eat pyrite. They also eat other metals, like guns. Those bacterium are used in the mining industry to strip metal from low-grade ores. Now, when they eat the pyrite in that drywall, they convert that into CO2, sulfurous, and sulfuric acids in very, very small quantities, but it's there. And I always tell people, if you've got a gun safe, like gun safe's in a store and the door's been closed for a week or two, open this door. As you open the door, put your nose in there and smell. You'll smell a hint of sulfur. That is the process working. As the safe ages, it dissipates, but that bacteria is working for 20 years and they're slowly consuming that pyrite. And it's creating a very toxic environment for metal. The carpeting and the adhesive is also full of formaldehyde because they use a rubberized adhesive so it stays soft. It doesn't get brittle. That's susceptible to mold. So they fill it with a lot of formaldehyde to keep it from molding. Again, we do a lot of museums. All of these compounds are banned from use in museums. They're also not allowed in military armories for that corrosion reason. So we don't use any of those materials. And when you look at it from a fire rating and a fire standpoint, fire ratings are literally smoke and mirrors.
I mentioned earlier that you could support GunGuyTV by using our Amazon link, but there are some other affiliate links you can use and accomplish the same thing. For example, you can go to our website at GunGuy.tv, and on the top there is a menu item. I think it says discounts on gear. If you click on that, it will take you to affiliate links for all of the companies that we have affiliate relationships with. They include things like Crimson Trace, Caldwell Shooting Products, Smith & Wesson Accessories, Wheeler Engineering, Tipton Cleaning Tools, Bullet Safe Armor, and a host of others. And if you shop at any of those, many of which will give you a discount for using our link and using our promo code, one way or the other, you will be benefiting GunGuyTV without spending 1 red cent to do it beyond what you would spend to buy the product you want to buy anyway. So check it out. Go to our website at GunGuy.tv and click on the menu item that says discounts on gear.
The opinions expressed by the Gun Guy are always right, unless they're wrong.
Now, just as a personal thing, I do know a guy, I have a friend whose house burned down. And he had a safe that was very high rated from a fire rating perspective. Not one gun in his safe survived.
No, it's
why is that?
Well, the rating system, I mean, I could put some almost humor to it. It's a little scary. When we first decided to go into the consumer market, our first thought was, okay, gun safes. Let's look at building our own safe. Let's partner with a safe manufacturer. So I actually met with Liberty Safe at one point, and I did a couple of trips to China to meet with safe manufacturers. And I was on one of these trips. I'm touring a facility, and it's full of, there's Stack-On and Homic, all these safe names I recognize. And I'm talking to the gentleman, and all the safes I'm looking at are all 60-minute rating. And I'm thinking in back of my head, well, if we're going to do a safe, we've got to do something different. It should be a little better. So I asked him, now, could you make a safe with a 90 or 120-minute rating? And he looked at me, he goes, oh, absolutely. I can put any sticker on you want. I said, no, but the rating, he goes, anything you want. We can just print the sticker. I said, well, do you test these? And he didn't understand the question. And I've got a translator with me. I'm like, do you have a process to establish he had no concept of what I was talking about in terms of testing and safety. All they do is take a safe, a metal box, stick drywall in it, carpet it. They put the sticker on that's Stack-On, whoever the manufacturer, the U.S. company wants on that safe, and they ship them over here. There is no testing.
So it's not like it's UL approved or something where Underwriters Laboratories or some similar outfit takes it and tests it to determine that it works.
There is a UL rating for safes. There's no gun safe that's made to a UL rating. When you look at some of the U.S. manufacturers, they have the sticker that says independently tested. So they build a safe, they design their own test, which they know they can pass. They send the safe off to another company to do their test. They perform the test, the safe passes, and it comes back. And now we developed at one point the True Safe. It's we no longer carry it directly. We sell it through a distributor, and that was a true double-walled, filled with cement safe, incredibly heavy, but it had a true fire rating.
Well, yeah, it's full of cement.
Exactly. Yeah. And we looked at all the testing that these companies do, and we did testing on our safes, and we realized what they're doing. They'll take a safe, and they put it into an oven. They'll run the oven up quickly to 1,400 degrees is usually what they do, and they have temp probes in the safe, and they watch those probes. And it slowly comes up, and they want to keep it below 350 degrees, and they'll do that for 30 minutes, for 60 minutes, and they shut the oven off, and boom, they pass the test.
Let's bottom line this here, Tom, because I've got 2 of your safes, and I knew when I bought them that if my house burned down, the guns were toast. They're just gone. But you're telling me that it wouldn't matter if I'd bought one of these rated gun safes and the house burned down, my guns are toast. It doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't. And The Truth About Guns had a really good article years ago on this, and they did a lot of research in whether your guns survive a fire in a glass case, a metal box, a safe, or a wooden cabinet has more to do with the nuance of how the fire burns than it does what they're stored in, because fires are convective. The air inside a home in a fully involved fire can be moving at 60, 70 miles an hour. And that convective force rips the safe apart, goes through, and cooks the safe very, very quickly. The other piece that your listeners should understand, the odds of a fire in your home that's that destructive is extremely rare and becoming rarer every year. Every year, America is seeing less and less fire damage. Now, all the statistics come from the insurance industry. And when you look at fire-related claims, about 90% of that is smoke-related. And when you look at actual fires in homes, the exact number is 79, 80% of all fires in a house occur in the kitchen, and the fire is contained within a pot or within the stove. That's the bulk of everything, and the damage is smoke-related. In a true heat-related, like a fire, say, in a dining room or living room, again, the causes of those are careless smoking and usually some other kind of a candle. Somebody makes a mistake. But those fires are typically out within 15 minutes, and the damage is contained within a very small section of the home. If you live in a city with a paid firefighting force, their response time is 3 to 5 minutes. I have a volunteer firefighting department in my small town. The response time is 11 minutes to my house. Anybody can call their insurance company where they get fire insurance, give them your zip code, give them your address, and they'll tell you the response time because that's how they rate your policy. So the actual risk of fire is extremely low. If you have a really hot, burn to the ground fire, none of these safes are going to work. If somebody Googles up, gun safes, California fires. Years ago when California had those horrible fires, there's quite a few articles on the fact that no gun safe survived.
You're telling me these things are all the same. They're just sticking a sticker on there.
In the case of all the import safes, which is the bulk of safes sold in America, that is correct. The U.S. manufacturers, they do testing, but they do static testing. They will not test their safe in a convective oven where you've got fans blowing 1,400-degree air at 40 miles an hour, because their safes will last 5-10 minutes. It's so fast how quickly they it's just like putting your hand into a hot oven, a 350-degree or a 500-degree oven. You can put your hand into that air and pull it out. Put your hand into a raging 500-degree flame, and within 2 seconds, your hand is burning because of the convective nature.
This is a great conversation to have, not just for folks who've had guns for a long time, but I don't care who you ask at this point. The estimates of new gun owners runs in the millions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of folks out there never had a gun before, and now they do. What would you say to them about keeping those guns secure?
Well, when you look at storing firearms, first off, our position is all firearms should be locked, have to be locked. If there's children or any chance of children in the home, they have to be locked out of sight. So because kids see guns, regardless of trigger locks, it's like a magnet. There's guns and trains with kids. I don't know what it is. But our solutions all lock guns out of sight. And there's a lot of good solutions out there. Secondly, store guns where it makes sense, where it gives you a tactical advantage. When you look at security, modern gun safes were designed in the 1950s. The UL rating on a modern gun safe is UL class RSC. All gun safes sold in America are sold as UL class RSC. That class was created for the gun safe industry in the 70s. RSC stands for Residential Security Container. The word safe does not exist in that classification because UL did not feel these things met the minimum standard to be called a safe. What you're paying for is a device that, per its rating, will block access for 5 minutes from one person with a pry bar less than 18 inches, a hammer less than 5 pounds, and a small hand drill. That's what you're paying for. Now, they'll show videos online of guys with safes where they're showing you can't pry the door, and they sell like 15 bolts and corner, all these things to show you how secure the door is. Take a circular saw of any age. We have an old 1980s skill saw. I've got a new DeWalt cordless saw. Buy a new carbide steel blade. And we cut a Liberty Fat Boy Jr. completely in half in 1:18 seconds. Then I said, okay, if I'm a thief and I'm trying to be as fast as I can, I cut a 12 by 12-inch square hole in the side of the safe in under 20 seconds. These saw blades are designed to cut up to 1/2-inch rebar on job sites all day long. Gun safes are anywhere from 11 to 14 gauge steel. Some of the heavy ones might be down to 10 gauge, 8 gauge. It doesn't matter. I can go through plate steel. It only slows me down. Modern tools cut these safes in half so quickly. So when we look at products like ours, our safes are ultra-light gun safes. They're lightweight. They're modular. In case of the Agile, you can disassemble it and reassemble it. It is just as secure as a 900-pound safe. It doesn't have the weight. But also, those heavy safes have to be deep to offset the weight of the door. So when you open the door, the safe doesn't tip over.
I mentioned earlier that you could listen to the entire podcast on Patreon if you wanted to do that. But that's not all that happens on Patreon. As a matter of fact, one thing I'm starting is a regular live stream on Patreon. And I've already talked to Sam Paredes from Gun Owners of California and Rick Travis from the California Rifle and Pistol Association to see if they would be guests with me on that podcast from time to time to answer questions from my Patreon subscribers. So we'll have a good question and answer period on Patreon that includes both of those men. Now, I'm also going to check with Dan O'Kelly and let's see, some folks from Gun Owners of America and some other people who might want to come on for that question and answer session. And I will let you know on this podcast and I will announce them on YouTube. The problem is that in order to participate, you have to be a Patreon subscriber. So check out GunGuyTV on Patreon and subscribe today.
Shooting straight and always right on target. This is the GunGuyTV podcast.
So our safes allow you to store guns where it makes sense. Now I'm going to talk about that real quickly. Decentralized storage. When you look at FBI crime data, a thief breaking into your house is going to master bathroom, master bedroom. Then he's going to go home office or den, dining room, and he's gone. If he believes there's a safe, he may check the basement if there is one quickly. They're in and out of the house typically in less than 9 minutes. Break-ins occurred during the day. So you look at that data, your bedroom is the least secure room. You should keep no valuables in your bedroom. Jewelry should not be kept in a master bedroom. That bathroom, they're looking for drugs, you're looking for quick stuff. So you look at gun storage. In my home, I'll walk you through my home, my setup. I have a fast box under my bed. I have a AR-15. It's ready to roll. That's designed to hold it with magazine is in it. I do not keep a round in the chamber. You could.
I don't understand. We don't have, obviously there's no video here. What's a fast box?
It's a small safe that's designed, it bolts to your bed frame. It can hold several handguns, an AR-15 or a shotgun. Is designed to hold an AR-15 with a 30-round magazine and a small optic, like a red dot or a CQB optic. It's totally silent, fast access safe under your bed. Moving from there, I come down. People spend a lot of time in their kitchens. Thieves never go to kitchens. The pantry in your kitchen or in a small drawer, I keep a small handgun safe. Or in my case, I've got a pretty big pantry. I've got an Agile cabinet. I've got 6 rifles in there, one of which is an AR-15 with a magazine in it. It's ready to roll. Front hall closet. Thieves ignore closets next to a front door. There's nothing but coats in there. I've got a Agile cabinet in there. Now, I've got a pretty big gun collection, so I've got 6 guns in that cabinet, 2 of which are defensive weapons. The rest are just some old vintage lever guns. From there, I look at a den. I've got a couple of handguns stored in fast access in my den. They're discreet, they're hidden, nothing else. Then the bulk of my collection is in a guest bedroom. The bedroom I've got a room that we don't use. It's a guest room. There's a made bed, a nightstand, with a lamp and a couple pieces of generic art on the wall and nothing else in the room. Thieves open that door if they're running a house quickly. If they look in guest room, they're not going in there. There's nothing in there. In that closet, I've got an Agile quad system. I've got the bulk of my rifles. In my house, that bedroom is at the end of a hallway. So if my kids are home, if there's an invasion and we're home and you're upstairs, you go to that room. You can arm yourselves, and it's a hallway. Nobody's ever going to get, they're never going to get down that hallway because we're going to be at the end of it armed. So it's a very easy to defend room. There's more on our website about what we call the principles of decentralized storage. But if you're going to lock guns, don't lock them in your basement. Don't lock them. For God's sake, don't put a great big safe next to your fireplace. That's just crazy. You're just advertising where all your valuables are. Store them where it actually can give you an advantage. And people don't think about that. But if you're going to lock the gun, if you have just one gun, I would lock it under my bed at night. I lock it in a closet next to my front door during the day or in my kitchen.
Now, what kind of response have you gotten from the average gun owner when you're talking to them about what your products are? Or for that matter, what kind of reviews have you gotten from the average gun owners who have actually purchased them?
Our reviews are very good. The company is growing. We are spending, in the last 2 years, we've spent just a little bit more than zero on advertising. We were in Inc. magazine's fastest growing companies in America, privately owned companies. We're growing at 68% per year right now. This year, we may actually be faster this year. So we're growing as fast as we possibly can in terms of managing supply chain, managing inventories, and hiring staff. Our customer service department is our fastest growing department. I am a fanatic on customer service, and our customer service department is second to none. There's nothing we won't do to help a customer solve a problem.
Oh, I'm going to challenge that now. No, I'm just kidding. I was going to come up with something. I know I could find something you won't do, but I don't know what it would be. Listen, has the current political climate with our new resident in the White House, has that affected you at all or affected the way that you market your business?
No, it really doesn't. It's tough to watch what's going on there sometimes. And, that's a real challenge. When the riots were happening last year, there was a pretty decent uptick in some of the stuff we do. There were so many first-time gun buyers in the last 12 months in America. And I spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people just trying to get the word out about safety. And I get concerned with first-time gun buyers who are rushing because they're like, oh, my God, I've got to do something. Well, just because you think you have to do something doesn't mean you have to do something fast. And buying your first firearm is something that you really need to spend some time, talk to the right people. I get concerned when I see first-time buyers immediately thinking handguns. I think for somebody with limited training, limited time to train, a shotgun is probably a safer, and they could be more proficient at it. An AR-15, again, it's your time to proficiency is much quicker, and recurring training is. I'm more comfortable with a rifle. I'm more comfortable with a shotgun. I enjoy shooting handguns, but I'm much better with these other firearms. And in a defensive standpoint, a handgun, use a handgun to fight your way to your rifle, or if your rifle jams or something. But I always look, if SWAT goes into a house, they carry one thing, they carry an M4. Same with the military. I'd like to see more first-time buyers gravitate towards like a pump shotgun, a manual shotgun from a safety standpoint. Because I get worried that they won't get enough training and practice enough with a handgun to maintain proficiency.
What's new for you guys for 2021? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve this year?
We're going to be adding technology to all of our products. We're doing research right now. We've got some things in the hopper for that. Handgun storage solution will be launching at SHOT Show next year, and that's going to be. We think it's going to be a game changer. It's a very different approach to storing handguns. We're not releasing a lot of details on it yet. but it's going to be a modular handgun storage solution that is, we'll call it home to car to range, an integrated modular handgun solution.
Well, this has been awesome. Tom, thank you very much for being part of this. I really appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you very much. It's I really enjoyed it. It's I think it's gonna be a good broadcast.
I think so too. Have a great week, and thanks again.
All right, thank you very much.
That was a great time with Tom, and I'm grateful that he came on the show so I could chat with him about what they do. They do tremendous work there, and I really, really like their safes and their approach to safes. They're clearing up a lot of the misconceptions and myths, and I'm very grateful for that. Well, if you're on your favorite podcast player listening to the syndicated version of the podcast, I'm going to have to wrap it up here. And I should say before I go, if you're on Patreon, stick with me. If you're listening to the public podcast, thank you very much for listening. Have a wonderful week, and wherever you go, whatever you do, be safe.
You've been listening to the GunGuyTV podcast.